Is it? Oh, what? What is that? What? I did not think things were going to get crazier than at the movie 5. Generic intro into Dr. Go's movie here, back with another kill count reaction. Today we're continuing the Nightmare on Elm Street series with 5 and 6, the Dreamchild and the Final Nightmare, where Freddy's dead, the Final Nightmare, but it's not actually the last one because there's like 3 more of these, I want to say. But next week's video is going to be President's Day, which came out in 2010. Last week's video was My Bloody Valentine for Valentine's Day. It was a Valentine's Day special that James put on, and that was actually a movie I've never heard of, but it had a lot of stuff had to be removed from that movie. It was pretty interesting, though, to be honest with you. And check my reaction to that kill count. I'll leave it right up there. Also, link down below in the description. Also, on a playlist on my channel with all my other kill counts going in chronological order if you want to binge watch through all of those. But yeah, we're continuing the Nightmare on Elm Street. We did 3 and 4 2 weeks ago. Patrons get all the videos there early. I read all your comments, leave them down below whether you're a patron or not, whether subscribed or not, but I hope you are subscribed. We're actually getting close to, what, 94,000? I actually don't keep that much check of it, but we're approaching 100,000 subscribers. Our birthday is actually, this coming up Tuesday, actually. I'm actually completely forgetting that that's actually about to be a thing. And of course, I'll be having a live stream for that, probably like Will Spin. I think I might do like Elden Ring or another game I've never played before and have like a Will Spin and stuff like that. It's gonna be a great stream, so definitely stop by for that. I'm also gonna be streaming today, and I'm gonna be starting, I think, a new game series. I'm still undecided on what that's gonna be, but it's gonna be a new game series that I have never played before, and that should be at 5 p.m. today over on Twitch. But let's go ahead and jump into Nightmare on Elm Street 5, The Dreamchild. Alright. Okay, if you skip the intro, my birthday's Tuesday. I'll be having a live stream, and I should be starting a new game series
where we tally up the
today
victims in all our
on
favorite
Twitch
horror movies.
at 5.
I'm James A. Janice, and today we're looking at A Nightmare on Elm Street 5,
now
The
I'm done with
Dreamchild,
Deltarune.
released in 1989. The Dreamchild picks up a year after Alice defeated Freddy in the Dream Master and finds her still with Handsome Dan as they graduate high school together. But their year of peace comes to an end when Freddy's resurrected and starts killing again, somehow managing his massacres even while Alice is still awake. After the Dream Master took a break from exploring Freddy's backstory, the Dreamchild returns to the Amanda Kruger storyline established in Dream Warriors and pretty much bases the entire movie around it. But with another revolving set of screenwriters and a super rushed production,
also, is
the
that like
resulting movie
chalk?
is a gothic mess that continues to feature more weird dream visuals than interesting characters or a sensible storyline. And the Freddy Jr. part is just the cherry on this shit.
I'm sorry,
sundae.
did you say
And
Freddy
hate to be the bearer
Jr.?
of bad news, but the MPAA mercilessly cut down all the death scenes in this movie. Let's look at what they left and get to the kills.
Oh, so we don't have a version of them? Like my Bloody
The movie
Valentine?
begins with some sweaty blue body parts writhing around together. It's Alice and Dan, and when they're done bathing in the moonlight, Alice has to go rinse all that handsome off. But her post-coital hosing down gets treacherous when the shower fills up and almost drowns her. She only manages to escape by breaking through the wall of reality.
I feel like
and
every
launching her
kid
naked ass into dreamland, where at the
had
end
that
of this
fear.
dark and wet corridor is the fabled 100 Maniacs of Hathaway House, which include a makeupless Robert Englund who's spiking that camera like it's a volleyball. Alice finds herself in a nun uniform with an Amanda Kruger name tag, and when the hospital orderlies peace out without finishing their count, she's swarmed and overcome by the unruly psych ward residents. Alice wakes up safely in bed with Handsome Dan by her side. Oh wait, did I say Handsome Dan? Because I meant Robert Englund wearing a potato sack. He jumps on her and pins her down in the bed until she throws him off and he disappears. Hell of a way
Does
to
she
start
actually throw Dan
graduation
off?
day. That's right, it's time to, as Dan says,
blow this pop stand.
graduating alongside Alice and Dan are all her new replacements.
We actually weren't allowed to throw our caps to graduation.
And who are the meatbags we've got for this one?
The
Let's see.
meatbag.
Greta, an aspiring model with an overbearing mother. Mark, a dude with questionable fashion sense who's apparently chasing after Greta by means of emotional erosion.
I think I'm starting to wear it down.
And Yvonne, who for some reason is both an all-star swimmer and works at a hospital. I think these latter movie nightmare characters just had their personality traits picked out of a hat. Alice's
literally,
douchebag
it was
father
like,
there too. Apparently
this
had to
character
give up
does this,
drinking
and
being a dick, so all the parent-kid
this.
combos get a big group picture, as if the audience is supposed to care about any of this finger knife fodder. Shit, man, we don't even see half these characters ever again. On her way to work, Alice sees the Full Jump Rope Ensemble, who at this point have just got to be doing a greatest hits tour. No way they're still pumping out new material. See? Nothing beats the classics. She follows them through some
always
shrubbery
there.
until
Is that
she finds
supposed to be a
Amanda
warning?
Kruger at the steps of the asylum, which looks like a giant
Why are you
Gothic
following
castle
her?
here. Inside, Alice walks around, sees a crazy-looking baby carriage, and then falls into a fantasy where she's on a stretcher being pushed into a hospital room. But she fights back until she becomes an observer instead of a participant in this dream, and now she's watching Amanda Kruger on the stretcher as she gives birth to something that causes quite a stir.
That is no creature of God.
Oh, come on. I'm sure it's not that bad. Oh, God. Yeah.
Oh.
Okay. That is one nasty-looking alien baby thing.
Oh.
If person charges at Alice and through a doorway, and she follows
Wait,
it
I'm sorry,
right
it's able to
back
run?
into the chapel from the last movie. Between the repeat settings and characters and the tangled mess these movies call a plot, you're forgiven if you get Nightmares 3, 4, and 5 all mixed up in your head. It happens to me all the time. Nasty Baby Freddy is in there, and he's trying to put on the red and green striped sweater. Aw, he thinks he's
Why?
people. And when Alice
He
tries to
thinks
stop
he's
him, he throws a
people?
hissy fit that brings the whole church down. He finally wriggles into the sweater, and we get our Freddy resurrection for the movie. Then he slips on his love glove and makes some noise with it. Wait, what's up with that Slender Man arm? Are we sure that's the same old Freddy Krueger?
It's a boy!
Yep, that's Freddy. He tells
Yeah,
Alice he's
no,
found
for
a way
sure.
to live again while touching on her stomach, and then Amanda comes in, all nunned out, and scares Freddy by saying all sorts of crazy shit. Like how his birth was one big mistake, how she's gonna kill him, how she's gotta be released from her earthly prison, how... Okay, good, she's gone now. And now Alice is back in that diner, which, yes, is called the Crave Inn as a reference to Wes. I missed that in my video last week, and a lot of you pointed out in the comments, but you did so very politely, so thank you for that. She calls Dan at the high school, where the reason Reds are having a pool party thanks to Yvonne having the keys to the place, and tells him that Krueger somehow took over her reality while she was still awake.
He must have dreamt himself up. I don't know.
Dan
Also,
runs off to see her, but
after everything that happened to her friends before, why are people still wanting to be friends with her?
And how Mark is anxious around blood, even though he draws comics.
One of the reasons why you don't have glass around a pool.
While driving, Dan gets sleepy
not the
and
reason,
apparently
but-
conks out for a road nap since he starts hearing his mom on the radio complaining about his relationship with Alice. Then Freddy comes through the system and straps Dan in for a ride.
Put your pedal to the metal, Dan!
He drives
Also,
into oncoming traffic. and
cars
then
didn't have
steers to the
airbags.
passenger seat to talk shit about Dan's choice of champagne.
Back here, Dan!
Freddy, you are wildin' the fuck out, man. Did you just use champagne as acid to rip off your own arm? He sure
Why?
did. And he sticks it on the trunk
Why?
before a tire blowout throws Dan through the windshield and into the swimming pool? Okay, Dreamchild. He runs back outside and decides
he's
that
fine?
2 wheels are better than 4, so he takes off on that motorcycle he always has strapped to the back of his truck. But speeding through the streets, he finds that he's a little more attached to this bike than he thought, since wires and cables start coming out.
I feel like there's a
and
movie
fusing
about
with his
that.
body. Then Freddy pops up for another one-liner because he just never knows when enough is enough.
He maybe should stop driving.
The need for speed!
That
Cables
is
continue
terrifying.
fusing with Dan's body all over the place, including his precious handsome face, while Freddy screams "Power Drive" and other dumb shit that my brain just tuned out.
Hey, Danny! Better not dream and drive!
Yeah,
Dream
like
and
that.
drive.
Dan winds up looking like Sebastian Shaw Vader as his bike speeds down the road. But then we cut to Alice in the diner, so I guess maybe he's okay or something.
is
Jesus
it-
Christ!
Oh,
what the
what?
fuck is that?
What
He's
is
falling down
that?
a rectum? Nope,
What?
in real life he's just crashing into a truck. And Alice
Wait,
runs
he
out to
never
see
got
his
on a
truck
motorcycle?
fire in the middle of the road and Dan's dead body amidst the flaming wreckage. Or is he dead?
Alice! Wanna make babies?
No, yeah, he's really dead. That was just a hallucination that makes Alice faint. She wakes up in the
Oh,
hospital.
well, that's a
and
terrible
finds
place to
Yvonne
faint.
Once again, that Freddy has found a way to attack people outside of her dreams. Her asshole's anonymous father and a doctor tell her that Dan is dead, but that his replacement's already in the making because she's pregnant with his kid. She goes to sleep in the hospital and wakes up to that kid who avoided Grant in Jurassic Park, who tells her his name is Jacob and that he's sorry her boyfriend's dead. Thanks, kid. I'm sure she wants to keep talking about that.
Yeah.
Pieces out, and the next day, Yvonne tells Alice there weren't
the
any
kid doesn't
kids
exist
anywhere
yet.
near her hospital room. You know what that means? Ghost kid. Alice holds court with
Terrifying.
her friends and gives us our by now exhausting
What's worse than
Freddy
a ghost?
Krueger
A
backstory
ghost
from
kid.
beginning to end, all the legal loopholes and vengeance arson included. Her friends are skeptical, of course, because that's how these movies go, but offer their empty support in the form of thoughts and prayers. And hugs.
Do they
Greta's
not
at a fancy
forget
dinner
the
with
past
a haughty-ass
movies?
momager when she nods off at the table. Things get surreal fast. Chef Freddy Ramsey comes out and locks
Freddy
Greta in
Ramsey.
a high chair for some nom-noms.
Bon appetit, bitch!
He serves her some doll sushi and stuffs her mouth full of some glistening
In front of
jiggly meat
everybody.
that turns
Yeah.
out is her own body.
You are what you eat!
He keeps feeding it to her even though it's fucking wrong until she ends up looking like the radiator lady. from
Where's the
Eraser.
lamb
Then he
sauce?
picks her up and holds her in a weird embrace. The kill has a short interlude where Alice sees the food in her fridge rotting like a time-lapse shot in Planet Earth, and then Greta's reaching out for help from the fridge. But Freddy's not gonna let this 5-star meal escape him, and he pulls her back, leaving a to-do list for Alice. Greta dies in real life by choking to death on food in front of the entire dinner party. Talk about spoiling an appetite.
Nobody
Alice
do
goes to this
anything or
warehouse
anything.
because I guess Mark lives there in a back room decorated with all this comic artwork. He's finally starting to believe Alice about Freddy, and he whines about how his character, the Phantom Prowler, could have protected
The
Greta.
Phantom
When Alice
Prowler?
steps out to make some coffee, Mark falls asleep.
Wait,
He comes
let me
back
guess,
and finds
he's
some
gonna be a real
artwork in the Elm
person.
Street house on his desk. Mark goes all aha and winds up in the drawing too, so Alice uses her elementary art skills to transport herself in front of the house as well, since that place is the reason we keep coming back to these movies.
Yeah.
Right, everyone? We love the Elm Street house. She
Uh-huh,
finds
what
Mark
about the
on
boiler
floor
room?
hanging onto the sphincter-looking edge of that rectum tunnel, and after she pulls him up out of there to safety, he sees some blood on on his hand and faints, disappearing into the floor. What? Was Mark a ghost? No, but creepy ghost kid Jacob is back now, and he yells at Alice for not caring about being a mom. He runs away, she runs after him, and now she's back in Mark's bohemian warehouse room. I get that these movies are about dreams and that dreams have loosey-goosey spatial logic, but man, this one doesn't even try to make sense.
Alice it's just all over the place. There's like no continuity. It's just like, ooh, this can happen.
Discover how Freddy might be working his magic this time through.
Do unborn babies dream?
During an ultrasound, the doctor tells her that yes, a fetus may spend 70% or more of its time dreaming. So yeah, that's how Freddy's
I've had an
attacking
ultrasound
people
before.
In this one through the unborn baby's dreams. While the others aren't looking at the ultrasound,
really?
The staticky image gets weird and then apparently spreads through Alice's body and whisks
That was
her
not
into
what
the
my
computer.
ultrasound was like.
Back in the tube? Man, I don't know what's going on.
It was on my
here,
shoulder.
I'm sorry. But here's a creepy looking fake baby with Freddy's face right behind it. That's fun. Freddy tells Alice that he's taking care of the unborn child's dietary needs.
That's not good.
Soul food for my boy.
And then Alice wakes up
Your
startled
boy.
and tells Yvonne that Freddy is feeding her baby dead soul so he can make the baby like him. Obviously, that sounds like a big pile of crazy talk, so after she leaves, the doctor calls Dan's parents, and they go to Alice's house and tell her that they want to adopt the baby and raise it as their own.
You don't want that.
She can't properly raise a child as long as she's running around talking about dream demons and shit. She refuses their offer and runs off to Mark's place, where they look at some research he found about Amanda Kruger. Sounds like Amanda Kruger hanged herself after Freddy's trial, but that her body wasn't found. That grave we saw in Dream Warriors was an empty plot with a memorial stone. Because of her suicide, her soul is trapped in its earthly resting place. Alice decides to go to sleep.
Is she still alive?
And get the juicy deets, and Mark agrees to stay awake and watch her. Good thing that plan's never gone wrong before.
Yeah.
Yvonne, who still doesn't believe Alice or Mark about any of this Freddy stuff, goes to the pool to practice swimming, but that don't look like swim practice to me. Looks like you're falling asleep in a hot tub. When she finally does get out of the jacuzzi, swim coach Freddy has arrived to help her work on her form. First up on his practice schedule is high diving into an abyss. The diving board
swimming
she's standing
alone
on cracks open into some Nightmare Before Christmas claws, which forces Yvonne
Nightmare
to jump
Before
off the
Christmas,
board
never
and
seen
fall
it.
through the air towards the amazing disappearing pool, landing in a tiny little puddle with some pretty nice form, all things considered. Alice, who's been searching Dreamland for Amanda, gets rolled into a nasty little water-filled side room, out of which Freddy emerges, spurting water from his blowhole. He pulls Yvonne out of the watery depths, but Alice grabs a nearby pool skimmer and spears him through the mouth with it. They escape from Freddy, who's looking real freaked out. What's up with that?
He's scared to come in because of Amanda.
Oh, okay, so Amanda's right there then?
We have to find Amanda.
But in the real world, Mark finds a comic that he doesn't remember buying, but maybe that just means you have a serious eBay addiction, dude. He glances through the book, which features panels of everything that's happened in the movie so far, and when he reaches the end, he gets aha'd yet again, since that video was so damn popular, into a version of his room that's had the saturation turned all the way down. Freddy pops out, and oh my dear lord, Freddy Krueger's on a skateboard. Fuck, man. I thought the sunglasses were bad. As he skates towards Mark, he swipes out some support beams, and the whole place falls down around him. Then Fred appears above Mark.
That's actually quite crazy. He's able to keep his balance while skateboarding and slicing things.
This pisses Mark off, and he becomes that comic character he was fantasizing about earlier, the Phantom Prowler.
Time to die, you scar-faced limp dick!
He shoots the shit out of Freddy, but it only puts him down temporarily, of course. Fred bounces back up in one of the few instances where someone other than Robert Englund plays the character, because this isn't just regular Freddy.
Yes! Super Freddy!
Super Freddy sucks.
Super Freddy.
Mark becomes a 2D paper version of himself, and Freddy cuts him so deep all the color drains out. Then Fred just rips him to shreds. And although the decapitation in this kill got cut by those bastards at the MPAA, at least we get to watch Fred have a good time with all that Mark confetti. In the real world, Alice wakes up and sees that Mark has been crushed to death by his makeshift roof collapsing on it. This is why we have building codes, folks. Ron shows up, now obviously believing in Kruger, and Alice tells her to go to the creepy old psych ward to find Amanda Kruger's body, so they can finally end this.
This honestly feels like a plot
castle of a hospital and searches through the hallways while Alice goes to sleep so she can walk around in the dream version of the same place. Freddy shows up and chases Alice down the hall by means of jump cuts, but then she charges him with that crazy baby carriage from the beginning and impales him on it, rolling him through the hallway and down a set of stairs until he's the guest of honor at a freaky inmate party. As Alice watches, they apparently rip Freddy limb from limb, but then his arm just turns into fucking spiders. Good God, Dreamchild, make at least a little bit of sense. The Dreamchild's all like, nah, we're just gonna do a labyrinth-style MC Escher set piece
and make things as unsettling as possible.
Anyone want to pump the brakes on this crazy train? Jacob takes Fred's hand, but Alice tells him, no, that's a bad man. So he runs away from him, and they have a nauseating upside-down chase sequence on these stairs. Hey, let's throw Dead Dan into the mix too. Fuck it. Yeah, we get a few weird shots in this sequence, including one just peering at Dan's crotch, and then we see that Dan is actually Freddy, because in upside-down Escherland, nothing needs to make sense. Alice and Jacob finally reunite, and when Freddy seemingly disappears, Jacob tells Alice that Freddy is hiding inside of her. So she screams a bunch and then starts turning into
She
him?
turns
Or
into
no,
Freddy?
She's like throwing him up? Or
What
this,
is
like,
happening in this movie?
Hey, remember Nancy Thompson and how good the movies were back then? Good times, man. Freddy just kind of cuts and kicks his way out of Alice's body, right as Yvonne crashes through a wall of the psych ward in the real world. Inside this new hidden room, she finds Amanda Kruger's body. But when she goes to touch it, we get a weird variation on the famous scene from Psycho. The empty habit slinks to the ground, and then Amanda Kruger shows up in Dreamworld, since now his spirit's at rest or whatever. She calls out to Jacob and tells him he needs to help Alice or she'll die. And then we get this awful, awful part of the movie as Jacob tells Freddy he wants to be a baby Kruger now.
Let's go. I want to learn stuff from you. She's no fun anymore. Teach me.
Learn stuff from you?
Learn stuff from you.
Why? Robert Englund reflects on how far off the rails this series has gotten, and with one last sloppy makeout with Alice, again, steps towards Jacob to, I don't know, be his dad or something. But then Amanda tells Jacob to unleash his power, and Jacob does.
Jacob has a power?
A giant tongue that comes out and impales Freddy. We get another crazy final Freddy sequence like a Dream Master, but this one just has the heads of Freddy's three victims from this movie extending out of his back and pulling him across the room until, what the fuck? Until they yank that nasty baby Freddy out of his back? As Alice picks up Jacob, who has now become a baby, Amanda picks up her demon spawn.
Wait a minute, is Jacob her baby?
Light, apparently reverting to be in utero. And then Jacob's like, that looks like fun stuff, let me try. And he does the same thing with Alice. As Amanda leaves the room, Freddy's claw busts out of her abdomen in an effort to escape.
Some parts of this movie is going to have to be blurred because of copyright. I forgot to say that earlier.
And newborn baby Jacob Daniel having a picnic in the park.
Jacob
Daniel girl performs ominously in the foreground. Holy shit, that mess of a movie is finally over.
Who is the one in the very back?
There weren't even that many kills. Here, I'll show you the numbers.
What, like 3?
Yeah, nothing fun for this one, because fuck this movie. Only 3 people died in the Dreamchild.
Yeah, 3.
The lowest of the Nightmare series and tied for the lowest of any kill count episode.
Tied with what?
2 dudes and 1 lady, which is obviously a 2-to-1 male-heavy ratio. And with a runtime of 90 minutes, that's a kill on average every half hour.
That's real not often.
Honestly, all 3 kills are pretty much equally cool, and the only reason I'm picking Mark's is because his is the most memorable to me. And for the first time on this series,
he does have a dull chain.
Be a dull machete.
Oh, dull machete. For
all this movie's faults, the 3 kills it had were all pretty cool. So that's it. A Nightmare on Elm Street 5, The Dreamchild, came out in the final year of our Lord's favorite decade, the 1980s, to both critical and box office apathy. Next week is the infamous Freddy's Dead, The Final Nightmare, and until that experience,
that's next in this video.
This has been The Kill Count. Thanks a lot for watching The Kill Count on Nightmare 5, The Dreamchild. I want to thank a couple of my patrons like Jane Ivis and Joey Volker. As I'm sure you might have noticed, I'm not a huge fan of The Dreamchild. If you thought that was bad, just wait till next week when we do Freddy's Dead.
It's bad?
Silly to say, but make sure you're subscribed.
They're both bad?
Click that button over there. And if you're not doing anything else, might as well follow me on Twitter and Instagram at DeadMeatJames. In any case, I'll see you next week. Be good people.
Okay. That's... This one is also off the rails.
Victims in all our favorite
Why are we so close to James?
I'm James A. Janice, and
Why
today
is he
we're
closer?
looking at the 6th Nightmare on Elm Street movie,
usually that close.
Freddy's Dead, The Final Nightmare, released in 1991. And although we're not done covering Freddy Krueger just yet, in some ways this is the final
That's
Nightmare.
more like
it's
it.
the last solo Freddy film to take place within the original continuity of the series. It also happens to be widely regarded as the bottom of the barrel for Mr. Krueger's escapades. Freddy's Dead completely drops Alice Johnson
This
and
is
pretty
worse?
much that entire tangled storyline that began back in Dream Warriors. In its place, we get an absurd plot about a ghost town Springwood and Fred Krueger's fully grown offspring, along with a handful of cameos and a final 10 minutes that were filmed and released in 3D. On top of all that, this is the film in which Freddy Krueger completes his transformation into a full-blown Looney Tune. It's really a movie that needs to be seen to be believed, so let's take a look at this mess and get to the kills.
Like I said, if anything has to be blurred, it's because of copyright.
The movie begins with a quote, so I guess we're bringing that back. Nietzsche, huh? Maybe this movie will actually be more highbrow than well, hey, you know what? If they're gonna use a Freddy quote, I'm glad they picked the best one. All right, ready for craziness? Apparently in 10 years, the entire population of minors is wiped out of Springwood, Ohio, except for one surviving teenager. We can't even begin to get into how I'm sorry, you're just gonna have to think about that one on your own while we keep running with this insane idea. The surviving teen is apparently this dude known as John Doe the entire movie, and he's in the middle of a turbulent flight with some unsympathetic fellow passengers.
I'm afraid of heights.
Turbulence is fun,
Don't be a pussy.
Yo, you know what happens to rude people, lady? They get sucked out of airplanes. John
I wonder who made that plane.
Out of Springwood, but everybody knows that almost doesn't count. And he drops out of the plane to plummet all the way back down into his bed that he wakes up in. Ah, shit, of course that was just a dream, and everything's normal now, right? Well, not quite. As the theme to Wizard of Oz plays, no joke, he looks out the window to find his house falling to the ground, and a laugh that sounds like the Wiki Wiki Witch of the Wild Wild West portends our first Freddy appearance of the film.
I'll get you, my pretty, and your little souls.
Yeah. The house lands on Elm Street, of course, and John tries to make his way out of Springwood again by going to a bus ticket booth where Bob Shea laughs at how much money he's made with this franchise. The bus drives up and smacks into him, and can you believe the bus is driven by Freddy?
Yeah, I can.
Screaming while the bus is in motion.
How much screen time does Freddy get
Freddy back in part 2? Freddy drives him to the Springwood border and reports him through reality, or something, in an effect that I actually think is kind of cool, despite the cartoon cutout hole that John leaves behind. Looks like Fred can't leave Springwood, so he's hoping John Doe can go fetch him some more victims. Yeah, good luck convincing anyone to go to Ohio, dude. Ha ha ha, go blue. Maybe he'll have some luck at this super sketchy looking youth shelter. Wait, didn't we pretty much do that in Dream Warrior?
Really?
What the fuck? Might as well meet the staff and patients.
Did James go to Michigan
Our
University?
leading lady for these 90 minutes of garbage is Dr. Maggie Burroughs, played by Billy Zane's sister, Lisa, and she's currently dealing with patient Spencer, a young Breckenmeyer who loves video games and hates his dad.
Tiny that screen is.
Both those characteristics being involved in his kill. Maggie's boss is Yaphet Kotto with a Jerry curl, whose character is only known as Doc, and I'm actually shocked that Freddy doesn't ask him what's up at all in this entire movie. He's real into dream shit.
Would that be copyright? Trademark? I don't know.
Of quote ancient dream demons who would search people's dreams for the most evil person they could find.
Then they give them the power to cross the line and turn our nightmares into reality.
I don't like where this is going. Other patients include Tracy,
feels like
a tough
foreshadowing.
kickboxing lady who don't take no shit, and Carlos, a deaf dude with a hearing aid that he sometimes removes to tune out from everyone else. They and Spencer are plotting to get the shelter van driver to smuggle them away to California so they can
blow this pop stand.
Some cops find John Doe on the street and take him to the shelter, where Maggie questions him about his background.
What is this lighting?
I don't know!
Besides having a hard time controlling the volume of his voice, and apparently having anger issues with pieces of furniture, he also knows he doesn't want to fall asleep because he might never wake up. Maggie finds a newspaper clipping in his pants featuring a picture that really jumps off the page.
I won't tell.
Oh, literally.
Flashback where a little girl runs around a backyard with her unseen father. But the most revealing thing we get is a woman screaming before Maggie wakes up, and it ends. John ends up falling asleep too and wakes up in a dream where that same little girl leads him through the Elm Street house while his real life
back at the house
walks up a keyed out staircase. Wonder if you'll find any clunky metaphors in this.
Freddy, you idiot! I'm your fucking memory!
Oh yeah, looks like he did. He tells Maggie about his dream, and after she realizes it featured the same little girl that hers did, Yaphet Kotto tells her to help John Doe remember where he came from. And so we get a road trip in this nasty looking van that the mystery team might drive if Scooby and the gang suddenly came down with a mean addiction to crystal meth. They drive to Springwood, a nice place to live, but after John hallucinates the little dream girl on the road and spins the van out of control to avoid her, they find that the other troubled teens have been stowed away in the back of the van, I guess hiding behind those paper-thin sheets. They carry on to
How did they not know
that
they were
there?
Going
on straight out of a Steinbeck novel. There's only adults there, and they're all cursing at the kids, telling them to go on and get. Maybe because they're worried they'll take their spot in line for the bumper car.
What? That's just Freddy in a bumper car?
Because Roseanne fucking Barr walks up to the kids and starts rubbing cheeks with them and asking if they'll come home with her. And hey, another cameo with Roseanne's then husband Tom Arnold chewing the scenery like it's a can of Skull.
You know they
so what is that hat with the little visor?
What is the purpose of that?
Wouldn't it just be better if it was the same material as the rest of the hat?
Too bad they shot this on the same part of the Universal lot that would eventually become Wisteria Lane in Desperate Housewives. Because holy shit, Springwood looks fake as hell in this movie. Even when they're driving down real streets, for some reason, it just doesn't feel real. They wind up getting stuck in a dream loop where they keep driving around the same town
the dream loops are
through the same
clever,
intersection a whole bunch of times. And shit, man, we just did that trick in Nightmare 4.
Yeah.
I guess it's not plagiarism if you're stealing from yourself. When they try to find themselves out of this jam with a map, it quickly turns into a fire hazard that's also pretty profane.
I asked you for the map.
Yeah, well, the map says we're fucked.
Maggie and John's adventure takes them
How did
past
it not
the
turn into a
derivative
meme?
chalk art and into Springwood High, where a teacher instructs an empty class in a way too over-the-top manner.
1493, Freddy sailed across the sea.
He emphasizes that in 1966, they took away Freddy's child. And wait a minute, hold on. What's
Wait,
that
what?
about Hiroshima and Nagasaki?
Attempt fail?
Yeah, but like that chalkboard clearly says the atomic bomb drops fail. Is that what the fuck? The trio of Trouble finally get tired of driving around in circles, and Tracy says that she's going to get some rest in an abandoned house. Yeah, that's your plan? Just kick down the door to a dirty stranger's house? Oh, and look, you really seem to injure it there with that kick. Wait a minute. Hold up. Is that?
It's Monster
that's
House?
not just a random house. That's the Elm Street house again.
Whoa.
It's everybody's favorite character. Hell yeah. And the audience goes wild.
Every
Carlos
time.
goes off on his own to get some
They
sleep
really
on
think we
mattress
care
version of that
all-
Pigpen kid from Charlie Brown. Hope your scratching fingers are prepped and ready.
I've never
dude,
seen
'cause you're
Charlie
about to
Brown.
be covered in bed bugs. When he wakes up, he's in dreamland and finds himself trapped against a brick wall with his angry mama abusing him for being a bad son. She takes out a very threatening cotton swab and then turns into Freddy Krueger, who sticks the swab into Carlos's ear and through his head. in one of the grossest moments of the series. Also, shouldn't that just kill him? He's got like a thing going through his brain. He should definitely be dead. But no, we're gonna drag this one out. First, Freddy cuts off Carlos's ear, which deafens him and gives the audience some point of view hearing, which in this case means a heartbeat and heavy breathing as Freddy tosses Carlos into a boiler room setting where he can be a lot
back in the boiler room.
Once they're in there, Freddy Freddy's a world-class douche to Carlos by dancing around behind him
That's
and making
just
a lot of noise
not
he can't
even
hear.
nice.
He even breaks the fourth wall to tell the audience.
That's just
He eventually
mean.
appears to relent and gives Carlos a hearing aid, but that thing starts deforming and bugging out and leaves Carlos with super hearing so powerful that a leaky faucet sounds like a beating drum to him. Like any good improviser, Freddy explores and heightens the game. First, he drops a single pin that sounds like a falling bomb on its way down, but Carlos is able to catch it and save himself the hearing damage.
Nice.
Then Freddy drops a whole handful of pins
that's
sound
gonna be
like a
bad.
hurricane of hammers against the metal grated floor. Finally, he
I like
takes
how
a
he
chalkboard
doesn't
and
have
with
the
some
audio in for
expert
that.
mime acting, starts scratching the board. First
This-
with a single finger knife, and then with his whole hand, like he's scratching the belly of a big old good dog. This ultimately causes Carlos's head to explode, sending
It's
the
crazy
because
I can actually like sometimes hear the
with
blood flowing in my
voice
ear.
going on.
Nice hearing from you, Carlos.
Now here's some shit that breaks the Elm
Wow.
Street rules. Carlos's body is just missing when Tracy goes to check
What?
on him. Then the screenwriters make the real narc mistake of treating weed like a hardcore hallucinogen, since Spencer's lying on the couch watching a broken TV and thinking it's actually on. Carlos
Well, he's
appears
watching
on screen
Purple.
and tells him not to fall asleep, but it's too late. That kid faded. I don't know which storyline I hate more, but we switch it up back to Maggie and John
Are we
as they
back?
go to the Springwood orphanage. They find another loony adult talking to invisible children, as well as a picture signed by Kay Kruger, who John Doe is convinced must be him. He figures he's got to be Freddy's kid, since he's the only one left alive. As Maggie tries to tell him that's a stupid idea, Tracy pulls up in the van to take them back with her to that
Mr.
dirty
Machine?
house they're squatting in. Spencer wakes up to a Johnny Depp cameo where he parodies the famous
That's
Brain on
Johnny
Drugs commercial.
Depp?
But then Freddy's like, gonna hit you in the head with a frying pan, and tells Spencer that it's time to trip out, man. So Inagata DeVita starts playing while a Sunday school special version of some psychedelic scenery emerges from the TV screen to wrap around Spencer and pull him into the tube. Dude, he just smoked a joint. He didn't drop Sid. But accurate psychoactive effects or not, he's gone when the others come back to the house. And then we get what might be the lowest moment of the entire Nightmare series. Spencer finds himself in the middle of a Nick Arcade-looking video game while Freddy controls him with a joystick. The game includes an 8-bit version of Spencer's dad, but those game designers could learn a lot about the art of subtlety.
Be like me. Be like me.
In fact, this scene has a whole bunch of god-awful lines, so let's just get them all out right now.
This is just some.
I'm playing with power.
Super Spencer!
Great graphics.
Nah, Freddy, nothing
I know
about
this
this
is
great.
is that
especially
really
Super
that
Spencer.
bad?
Super Spencer sucks. Then Spencer's body gets launched through a wall into the real world, and we have to watch
I guess
shit
it's
like
so
this,
unlike the
and
rest of it.
this, and hear these
Okay,
sound
yeah, no,
effects.
that's rough.
John gets the idea to save Spencer in his
What?
dream, so he has Tracy
Is this
knock
supposed
him
to
out
be
with a
like,
pipe,
don't
and
play
he
video games?
disappears into a table, which, like, that doesn't make sense. Then Tracy joins him, saying she was able to get there
Does she
just by
jump to the table?
concentration meditation, because we might as well just throw all the rules out the window at this point. Tracy and John
There's
sneak
no
up
rules.
on Freddy like they're a couple
There's
of
one
kid
rule.
detectives, and she kicks the controller out of Fred's hand. But he's got a little backup for just this occasion.
You forgot the power glove.
He
Oh,
uses
wait, the power glove?
to bop Spencer in the
I
head.
did an Angry
drop it
Video
down
Game
the
Nerd
stairs
video on
towards-
that.
Oh shit, the rectum tunnel's back. Yep, and after Spencer falls down it, it farts out his soul or something, which goes straight back into Freddy.
Oh, yeah.
Oh no. Tracy gives Freddy a kick in the nuts before Maggie wakes her up
Oh,
out
well.
of the dream, saving her from Freddy's
wow,
finger
that
knife
was
swing.
close.
But since John is still asleep, they have to carry him out into the van when they make their escape. But during his dream state, he wakes up to find himself in a burning bedroom, and when he launches himself out the window, he's back to falling down to earth like he was in the beginning. He pulls a cord that turns
In
his
case
shirt into a
of
parachute, and also yanks his
Parachute.
real life body through the roof of the van. John
What?
wakes up to find Freddy spinning around the top of the parachute before he comes down to confront John face to face with some harsh truths.
Is he gonna
says
cut the
John
wires?
isn't in fact his son,
Yep.
and that he allowed John to live.
Only long enough for you to bring me back my daughter.
With John useless to him now, he yells, "Grounded!" and cuts the strap to the harness, leaving John
Oh.
to fall towards the ground and a bed of nails that Freddy pushes into the road
Why
like a
is he there
goddamn
too?
Wile E. Kruger. We see the wounds appear in John's real-life body, which makes sense, but then his
Ah.
corpse disappears from reality, which does
Right in
not.
front of
And after
them.
his soul fart
Ah.
goes into Freddy's body, Kruger disappears too, with a joke that I honestly just don't understand.
It's traveling time.
Is that a play on words or something? Is
It's
traveling
traveling
time a
time?
thing? Or is Freddy
that like
just
a
spitting out word poop at
catchphrase
this
or
point?
something?
He travel times right into Maggie's dome, and after some weird face stuff, she gets in the van so she and Tracy can drive out of Springwood, shattering that plate glass of reality while they do it. What is up with that thing? Back at the
Yeah,
shelter,
but-
Maggie's fellow social worker doesn't remember
This
anyone
is
by the name of
something.
Spencer or Carlos or the new arrival John Doe. So what? Freddy's erasing his victims from other people's memories? Come on. But yeah,
That would be interesting, especially if it was like that was original for all of
Because I can control my
first
dreams.
Sure. Maggie finds some papers saying she was adopted, and that night in another dream of hers, we get more of the Kruger
Why is that
backstory
pill bottle
shaded
so
in
big?
as we learn that Maggie, not John Doe, is Freddy's child all grown up. And the woman screaming in her earlier dream was her mom Loretta coming out of the cellar and telling Freddy that she won't tell anyone about
Oh.
whatever she found down there. As
So
little
that's
baby
what
Maggie
Freddy
learns,
looks like-
it's a back room with a whole bunch of finger knife gloves of various designs and Springwood slasher newspaper
I feel like those are
as well as some
props
shit suggesting
for
Freddy
ideas.
killed the kids in his own house. What about part 2's bitchin' boiler room? As dumb as that is, it's not as dumb as the fact that nobody took that lock of hair out of this girl's eye before they shot it. Or even worse, how Maggie suddenly shows up dressed in the little girl's outfit, complete with pigtails. I get what they're going for here, but honestly, it just looks like she's about to go give a striptease to some rich businessman with some real specific kinks. Freddy shows up and calls her Catherine, and confirms that when the authorities took her away from him, he got revenge by killing their kids. But wait, wasn't him killing kids the reason they took her away from him? This logic's running in circles.
Wait a minute.
Freddy scares Maggie.
So what was the actual reason? Or is that just a lie?
He can't because this isn't Springwood, but like, has that been a rule this whole time? Or is it just another thing they're coming up with out of nowhere for this movie?
Or maybe he just likes it.
The loophole is to sprout an Elm Street sign in front of the building. God,
now it's Elm Street.
First, Freddy goes after Tracy and her by appearing as her father, who, it's heavily implied, sexually abused her, so that sucks. She takes her revenge on her dream dad with a tea kettle. Just
I did not think things were going to get crazier than at the
Freddy
movie
takes
5.
a few hits from Tracy and lazily says a one-liner.
This, bitch.
Oh, come on, Fred. I feel like your heart's not even in it anymore. She escapes his whirring finger knife blades.
He's like, how many times can I say?
Waking up out of the dream. With his Tracy attack foiled, Krueger moves on to Yaphet Kotto.
How many one-liners can I say?
Doc just beats that bitch with a bat. Fred's not perturbed, though, since he just reenacts an OG nightmare scene while counting off the ways people have tried to kill him. He says that he's never been killed permanently because they promised him that he'd be eternal.
Who is that?
Dream people. The ones that gave me this job.
The
Yaphet
dream
snacks a piece
people.
of that sweater before an alarm system wakes him up, right as Maggie and Tracy rush into his room.
I think I've got a way to get him.
So what's the plan, Doc?
Wait, what the fuck was that fade? Who
yeah,
the fuck
what
is running this movie? Yaphet says that if the sweater can come out of a dream, then so can Freddy, and that they can hurt him.
But didn't they already do that? Like
Wait a fucking minute.
They
Nancy
did that.
this shit
Yeah.
5 movies ago.
Yeah,
Good
was the first
Lord,
movie?
Freddy's dead. You have 0 reason to exist. Yaphet gives Maggie a pair of 3D glasses because yes, the last 10 minutes of this movie were 3D, and she goes to sleep.
Is that
on the
not
couch, waking
a sign
up
to
in
the
dream
audience
version
or
of the
something?
same room and putting on the glasses to activate Freddy vision. Whoa, look at that hand. See, frying pan infomercial. This is what your brain is like on drugs. She hops into Doc's poster and walks past the Jim Henson Dream Demons into Freddy's stupid face looking stupid. So I guess we're inside his brain now as the Wizard of Oz music plays again, and the Dream Demons take the form of lost souls from Doom, getting all up in the audience's face in 3D. Traveling through Freddy's memories, Maggie finds herself in a school classroom and watches as Kid Freddy takes a hammer and smashes the class hamster with it. A robot chicken cut takes Maggie to another time where she witnesses teenage Freddy getting in trouble with his stepdad, Alice Cooper. Cooper beats on Freddy with a belt, even though, like, how you about to hit a dude who looks that much like Kenneth from 30 Rock? But Fred just stands there and takes it.
How do you use? Why do you use a belt like that?
This is all we see of it, which is real dumb. I know.
Was his foster dad or his stepdad?
Kill, so I'm adding it to the count. Deal with it. Another robot chicken cut puts Maggie at the scene of Freddy's original mortal death, where we witness exactly what happened as he burned to death inside that building.
We know what you want. I want it all!
Are those the dream people?
Then open up.
And you shall be forever.
Ooh, wow. Okay, so that was the day he became Freddy Krueger. As my girlfriend Chelsea said during this scene,
we weren't supposed to see this.
One final robot chicken cut puts Maggie back in the Elm Street basement,
Chelsea,
where she watches her younger self
they
run
got
outside
married.
and find Dada strangling
James
Mama
and Chelsea
to death.
got married, and
Freddy
the Reverend
murdered his
was
wife with his
the
bare
original
hands
Nancy, I
in
think.
reaction to her finding a secret stash of dead kid stuff. Maggie's mad about Fred killing her mom, so she hits him with a pipe and grabs onto it, which Doc and Tracy see, so they pull her out of her dream. But Maggie wakes up on the couch by herself. They go to the little armory they have in the basement of stuff apparently confiscated from Spencer and other kids.
And you keep that there?
Vegan in that youth shelter? Maggie finds a makeupless Freddy Krueger crying on the basement floor, whining about how he's not so bad a guy, honest. Maggie doesn't buy it and hits him with the bat, then knocks his glove off to fly at the audience. Whoa, look out, 3D, holy shit. But now Freddy's back into his old burnt face appearance, and he starts strangling Maggie to death because, like mother, like daughter,
you have
he
a
fights
bat.
back, hitting him
How
with
do
his
you
glove and
lose like
biting at
that?
his face a bit before breaking some of his fingers. Then Maggie pins Freddy to the wall with an assortment of weapons, including knives, shurikens, and a freaking
Where did she learn how to throw
these?
these?
For last, putting on Freddy's finger knife glove and stabbing him a few times in the gut with it. Wait, oh, sorry, she's not done yet. She saves the second best for last by sticking a pipe bomb in his torso. Then she tells him Happy Father's Day and gives him a smooch before running away to safety. Freddy's death is preceded by a joke, of course.
Kids.
And then he blows the F up, and his
and
head
3D
vomits another his head, which explodes
and then another
into
one,
the
and then it's the
demon
dream
things
people
swimming around the air like nasty hell sperm. Dear Lord,
But-
this reveal is just as
but
bad
they're
as
supposed to be
Jason's soul being
eternal.
a nasty slug thing and goes to hell. Maggie's Freddy vision glasses reappear, and Yaphet Kotto takes them off for her. Hey Maggie, can you guess what movie I hope I never have to watch again?
Freddy's dead.
That is correct. Freddy's dead, and so is my enjoyment of these movies. Let's get this shit over with.
Hopefully this video went live
What happened to Freddy? He used to be cool.
the right day. Hopefully the copyright wasn't too bad. Typically, the longer the video,
6
the
people
longer
died
it
in
takes.
Freddy's death,
Double.
including 2 people in flashbacks, and of course, Freddy Krueger himself. All in all, the victims
He'll be
included
back.
5 men and 1 woman, the most imbalanced gender ratio of the entire series. With a runtime of 89 minutes, that comes out to a kill on average every 14.83 minutes. I'll give the golden chainsaw for coolest kill to Carlos. If the chalkboard thing was the only silly Looney Tunes gag in this movie, I'd actually be okay with it. Plus, it's an exploding head. That's well, dual machete for lamest kill will go to Spencer. I know there was an off-screen death, but even that's not as lame as all the stupid sound effects that were part of Spencer's drawn-out video.
It was when it was in real life that was
just him falling down
crazy.
a hole. And that's it. Freddy's Dead: The Final Nightmare came out in 1991 and is a giant pile of steaming shit. But we're not done yet. Next week we get Meadow with Wes Craven's
but the next one's going to be President's Day, and then 2 weeks we're going to do.
Thanks a lot for watching my kill count for Freddy's Dead. I want to thank
it's going to be Wes Craven's new
Gabriel
Nightmare.
Baena and Ryan Aviar. A couple more weeks
Shout out to the
Freddy,
patrons.
and then we get a new franchise. The big
wonder what that's
going to be
starting
in March. Also, I just had
I'm going to start a new game franchise
in March, and it looks like Belko Experiment's going to win. So you have that to look forward to during a Monday in March. Every Friday this year is going to be a franchise. All right, y'all, be good people.
Well, there's all the players. Now we have to go through all of this, but this was probably 2 of the worst movies in the Nightmare on Elm Street. Also, I have to do this every single time I want to pull up the kill count video, which it's going to get even longer because there's over 400 videos in this playlist, but this was 5 and 6 of A Nightmare on Elm Street, and I didn't think things could get crazier than 5. They got crazier than 5, and just off the wall. At least 5 was like... Actually, no, none of it made sense. I was going to say it made more sense than 6, but no, absolutely none of this made sense. Next is going to be President's Day. It'll be out next Saturday. Patrons get a day early. My birthday stream will be Tuesday at some point, July 2nd. And you can join my Discord server, get notified every single time I go live. And I'll also be streaming today with a new game series that I've still yet to decide what the new game franchise I'm going to be playing for the very first time is going to be. But I look forward to reading your comments on this video. Hopefully copyright was kind. I didn't have to blur a whole bunch of it. But thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful rest today. But until next video, take care and keep your music.
We were playing as soldiers, making soldiers.